Welcome everybody to yet another anime tier list video here today. Now we got something quite special here today, something quite special planned. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure how to explain this, but beyond the title, of course. I hope you can all read at least. Now I advertised this video a little bit last time I did a tier list video, I think. Actually, it was in the From Me to You review was where I sort of advertised this. This tier list video is going to be on relationship stability. Now, what defines that, you may ask? Well, a lot of things. And what better an opinion to gather from than an indoor dweller with zero experience? So, we're going to be going through all the anime that I've watched so far that are romance anime. Which is essentially every anime I've watched, with the exception of 3 or 4, I think. So, like, no Death Note, obviously. Now, these are the main characters of each of these shows. I want to specify that. Okay, side characters we can always save for another time in the form of content farming, of course. So we've got all the main characters of all these different romance anime here, but we have quite the selection. Okay, I'm actually not sure how many we have, but I do know that it is a large number. Definitely long enough for me to talk for like 40 plus minutes, if necessary. So let's get straight into this, because I tend to ramble a lot. At the bottom here, I've stopped putting text memes in here and started doing more images. So at the bottom here, we have Saul Goodman. This represents... I mean, you better have a good divorce lawyer, because if you even make it that far, all right, you're going to need a really, really good lawyer if you're getting into this kind of situation, all right? Look, relationship stability, there's a lot that goes into it. And I want to preface this before we begin. These rankings are how I feel are the most fitting, okay? Now, of course, it's not totally objective because, I mean, the top tier pretty much tells you all you need to know about how objective this is. So there's obviously still bias, but generally, this is meant to be an objective ranking. This means that every single character on this list, or every couple of characters, or however many people they have as partners, okay? I hope the best for all of them. I really wish they would all fall under this top category here, being the soulmate tier, but I don't think that's true, and I don't think that's realistic either. Okay, this video wouldn't exist if I was all going to slap them into the top tier and call it a day, right? I guess I could do that if it were the 4th, I almost said 4th of July, if it were the 1st of April, okay, if it were April Fools, but, of course, no, I'm not doing that. So some of these tiers, they suck. They're gonna suck to put people in here, but it's true. It's what you gotta go with. And so anyways, the bottom tier, I hope anyone who's ever had divorced anyone in their life or has ever seen anyone divorced, hope you've got your PTSD glasses and hat ready, because this tier is bad, all right? And then the tier above this, we have, it's a picture of the album. I think it's like In the Zone or something. It's Britney Spears. It's Toxic, okay? This is for toxic relationships. So, like, maybe they get far, I guess, but it's not healthy, man. It's not good. It's not fun. It just flat sucks, okay? If there weren't if this wasn't just romance anime on this list, then we would have Death Note's Misa and, Light in this tier. We would have Eminence and Shadow, every character. And yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be that hard to categorize. I'm actually not sure who I would put in this tier, but I'm sure I'll think of it. Next up, we've got the Green Goblin. Okay, this is the middle, for the reason of, like, things can be going totally fine, but it's a coin toss. Okay, this is the almost 50% of people who get divorced in the United States. This is what this tier is. Okay, it's the, like, you either get Norman Osborn or you get the Green Goblin. It's a coin toss. Okay, and so it's like, or it also has a double meaning in the sense that 1 minute things can be totally chill and fine, and then the next minute you wake up to a demon, okay? And it's just horrible, and it's the goblin, right? You can't run from who you truly are. And it's a terrible impression, right? But you get the idea. Next up, we've got we have sweating, okay? This is for nervousness. This is the everyman's personal anxiety tier, okay? This is for characters that I think there's a looming possibility that things can go wrong, but, I don't want to, totally blow it out of proportion, right? This is more for, things seem fine, but maybe there's a chance that things won't be fine in the future, okay? This is that, I'm paranoid tier, okay? Next is the tier that most character pairs are probably going to find themselves in. We're looking at sort of the absolute love tier. Okay, I almost said we're best buddies, but I mean, that sort of applies too. You'd want to be best friends if you're in a long-lasting, committed relationship with somebody, right? And so this tier is for people that they're obviously in love with each other. They're perfectly connected. Yeah, but they fight sometimes. They have problems. I mean, everybody has problems with each other at some point. Okay, but it's there's always that tiny destabilizer. Remember, this is stability, not the chance that they're going to break apart. Okay, stability means that one thing can shake everything, or one thing sort of just throws a stone in the water. Okay, this is for that little pebble being thrown in the water. It creates a little ripple, but it doesn't really do anything, right? The tiers below, this is for the bottom tier here is if you fired a nuclear missile into an oasis, okay? What do you think's going to happen? Then the top tier here, I actually thought about this one, and then I was you know what, I'm not even going to bother with 100 girlfriends. I just straight up put Rentaro in the top tier, Rentaro Ijo. He is the top tier, okay? This top tier, this is for soulmates forever. Okay, eternal soulmates. These people are going to love each other forever. There is zero chance of them ever breaking apart. They're the perfect match, and there's nothing wrong. Now, this is, of course, where we would hope everybody goes, but it's not realistic, and it's not going to happen, probably. And so, only a very few selections of people can actually make it into this tier. Forgive me for a second, I forgot to add one of the entries to this list, and I'm realizing that now. Alright guys, we're back. Sorry, I just had to make a minor correction. I almost forgot Sakuta Imai from Rascal Does Not Dream. I would have been branded a heretic and witch hunted across the Mississippi if I forgot that. I don't know what I was thinking or what I was doing, but they're here now. I added Rascal Does Not Dream. Now, maybe if I tried to pass it off as if I had never watched the show, nobody would have thought of it. But I have, so, that's mandatory, okay? That's top 5 peak romance anime. I can't be, throwing the game like that. It's fine, it's here now. Anyways, the top tier, this is soulmates forever, okay? This is for people that I have zero doubts are guaranteed to be there forever and have the best relationship and have virtually zero major problems, okay? Now, without further ado, let's get into it with one single preface first. Yorli in April here, I included Kusei in 2 of these, which is kind of cheating because most of these, even the ones that involve harems, I have as one single box, and I have Kusei with 2. The reason for that is pretty simple. The first one's KIA, okay? Kuari is, she's dead. So I included 2 boxes because it's more of a what-if scenario. I'll explain it when we get to it. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started with 3D Kanajo. Let's see, we got Sutsui and Igarashi. This is an interesting one. I'm gonna put them in. I'll put them in sweating, or should I put them? One of these 2 tiers here. I'll put them here. I'll explain why. So I think that Tsutsui and Igarashi have a great relationship, and I obviously know, I've seen the show. I know that Tsutsui waits years, and still, he waits all that time, and then eventually gets his opportunity to be with her again. And so it's like, they've already had their problem, okay, which, of course, the problem was not voluntary. It was neurological, but it's still, The problems arise from, these two don't have the best communication in the world. They're not as terrible as some of the people in this list, but, they're not the best, right? There's the whole episode where, they're out, I don't know, I don't want to call it camping. They're out isolated in the woods, okay, and they're in, a little house that they're staying in. And, Igarashi gets mad and runs off, and then Tsutsui is getting, complained at by everybody, and they're all getting mad at him. He doesn't know what he did. The audience doesn't know he did anything wrong, which he didn't. It's just kind of annoying, right? And so there are problems that arise, and they fix them, and it's a little shaky, okay? Remember, this is not the likelihood they're going to break up. This is the likelihood that things are going to go wrong and it'll cause some sort of problem, okay? Because people who do care and do have the abilities to take care of each other and are able to sustain themselves and another person, they don't totally crumble when problems pop up, okay? With these two, they get kind of mad at each other and, it gets resolved. But one thing's for sure, these two are a lot more stable than the other two relationships in the same show, which would easily be bottom tier it'd be bottom tier. Okay, moving on to Futaro and Yotsuba. I just have the quintuplets all on here, but if you've seen the show, then you obviously know Futaro and Yotsuba are the two that end up together, okay? I'm putting these in soulmates here. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. These two are one of the most obvious, perfect pairings ever, okay? They never really fight. They never have super big problems. The only major problem that pops up is a problem with every character in the show, which is the idea that it's a harem. He has to pick between the 5 quintuplets, okay? And they have to sort of realize their feelings in the first place. That's the major conflict. Without that, which obviously it's resolved by the end of the show, then there's no problems, and there's no major conflict, okay? There's some basic barriers that kind of prevent them from being together all the time for a little while, but that's not really that big of a deal. I don't see a problem with these two. There's never a moment in the show where I'm like, wow, that's really crappy, or wow, this is really scaring me, okay? These two are fine. They don't have problems, really. They both love each other, and they're both pretty much perfect for each other. So I have no doubt that these two easily belong in this tier. Moving on to probably, I'm not even kidding you, the easiest one to put on this list is freaking Tonikawa Over the Moon for You, okay? I don't have to explain this one if you've seen the show, which, by the way, I will not be explaining every single one of these shows, as you could probably guess. Fly Me to the Moon / Tonikawa Over the Moon for You, whichever name you want to go by. This is the easiest soulmate pairing I've ever seen, okay? There is no doubt at all, ever, in my mind, that these two are not perfect for each other and that these two will ever have any significant problems. They don't fight big time at any point. They don't have problems. They don't get mad at each other. They don't yell at each other, okay? There's no big issues, okay? The least tiniest bit of destabilization is from a little bit of annoyance. That's it. That's literally it. It's from oh, you're annoying me a little bit. That's the only semblance of issue they ever have. Any sort of rocky surface to build upon doesn't exist, because guess what? NASA will just build something new under it to make it a better surface. He's probably better than Rentaro, no joke, in stabilizing a relationship. He is the best man of the universe for dealing with a marriage, okay? Episode 1, he gets married, all right? Fantastic. Nothing can beat these two. Which, by the way, I want to say the reason I put Rentaro as the top tier for soulmates is because the whole idea of 100 Girlfriends is that they're all his soulmates. They are literally, it's it is written in the universal law of their soulmates, okay? And so nothing bad ever really, like, shakes that, and nothing ever threatens to spill over and make them break up. So that's why I'm, not... He's not even on this list. He is the list, okay? All right, moving on to Harems. This one, okay, I was actually intending to put them in the top tier right away, but after watching some clips of Harems again, because it's been like 5 or 6 months since I've watched it, I'm actually going to put them in the Green Goblin tier. I hear a lot of people that say Miyamura and Hori's relationship is kind of toxic. I don't really think it's toxic, but it does, admittedly, through some clips, it does shift a lot, and it has weird moments. Now, these two are beautiful together, don't get me wrong at all. But Hori's a little bit, I mean, she can be kind of overbearing, and she can, the reason this Green Goblin, which, by the way, this wasn't made for Harems specifically, but the reason for this Green Goblin tier is, once again, destabilization. If something minor can make one of the parties angry, or can set them off completely, there's a problem, okay? There's an issue that needs to be addressed that hasn't been. And Hori, mostly Hori, I can't remember a case where Miyamura was the perpetrator. She gets mad at a lot of stuff, and she gets mad easily, too. And, like, it's never a huge threat, but that's because Harems it's a very chill show. It's probably the most relaxed show on this entire list. And so, the whole idea that I said in the last review video I did was essentially that the big question I always have when watching these anime is, how is this going to last when the show ends? I want to be absolutely 100% certain, without a shadow of a doubt, like I'm a judge in the Supreme Court, that this is going to last forever until one of them or both of them dies, okay? That's simple. I want no doubt in my mind that it is going to continue forever. And so, if I know, based on evidence, that things are only stable due to the context of the show, it puts some doubt in my mind. It puts doubt that things may not go well. And that's scary, right? And so with Harems, I'm putting them here because you don't know what's going to happen. One of them can flip, mostly Hori, on a dime. And based on their personalities, that's likely. They seem to do things impulsively. And so impulse is not a good foundation, all right? And that's why this tier exists, Green Goblin. All right, next up, we've got a couple of cuckoos. Now, this hasn't completed yet, so there's not really much to go off of, and I obviously haven't read the manga. But based on what I've seen, obviously of Season 1 and a little bit of Season 2, Nagi and the others, I trust Nagi. He's reliable. He can definitely do what he needs to do. But I don't know, I'm not holding my breath, and there's not really a full knowledge of what happens in the future, so I'm just going to put him there and leave it at that. Alright, next up, we've got, oh boy, everyone's favorite, Yukino and Hikigaya Hachiman. Oh boy, okay, look, I don't know, I'm going to put it in Green Goblin. Here's why. Look, I know I got a bit of a bias with this one because, I mean, I feel like I've complained about it enough. But these two just don't have that much. I don't know how to explain this in a way that's more complex because it's very straightforward. They don't have that much. There's not much chemistry. There's not much to go off of. These two kind of don't get along a whole lot. Yukino constantly is pointing out how big of a piece of garbage Hikigaya is, which he is, just for full context. I don't see how this goes well, okay? But in my best attempt to be impartial, these two do seem like they can tolerate each other in a way that others can't tolerate Hikigaya, right? So there's that part. So at the very least, they seem suitable, but suitable does not mean sustainable, okay? And so it's like, I fear that if too big of a rock is thrown in the water, I'm thinking of Yui Gahama, because remember, in the context of the show, everything just ends off. But in the context of a real world, it keeps going. And Yui Gahama actively vows pretty much at the end of Origairu to keep trying to get Hikigai's affection, and that creates problems. And knowing how Hikigaya deals with problems, nothing will ever go well, for any reason, okay? He has a martyr complex, basically. There's no way it can ever go in a manner that's positive, okay? It's just a barrel of sadness. It's a powder keg waiting to explode, okay? And you don't want to be around to wait for it to blow, okay? It's not stable. It's not. Things can easily get in the way, and knowing Origairu, there's 10 million things that will possibly pose as obstacles. So, yeah, and also, I think Hikigaya, if I'm thinking of him correctly and not another main character, has the whole idea of wanting to become a house husband, and everyone craps on him about it, and he lives in Japan. So, like, there's that element too. So I only foresee problems in the future, but I don't want to put it in toxic because I don't feel like that's really how it is. Okay, next up is Nishikata and Takagi. I'm going to put them here in absolute love. Okay, look, I know that I mess around with Nishikata a lot. I make fun of him probably more than any character on this channel, or any person for that matter on this channel. But, like, I'm speaking objectively here. Him and Takagi are fine, okay? These two are great together. They don't have that big of... They don't really have any issues. The reason I'm not putting them in full soulmate tier is because they're not, like... I can't picture them in a manner that's like, I'm going to die with you, okay? Besides, Nishikata is basically brain dead, okay? So, like, you know, I can't think of this being a relationship with an equal dynamic. He's definitely the submissive one, let's be real, okay? He even gets crap from his daughter, okay, at the very end of the show. So, like, you know, take that for what you will. In terms of stability, these two are not breaking apart, okay? We're fine, okay? They belong here, near the top tier. They're all right. I have no doubt that they'll continue just fine. You know who won't continue just fine? These two. Hina and what's-his-face, the main character of Domestic Girlfriend. I don't even know where to begin with this. If anybody's seen or looked up a summary of Domestic Girlfriend, I don't have to explain to you why this is a problem and why this will not go in any positive direction ever. Look, I haven't read the manga, but I have watched the first season. Are there 2 seasons of the show, or is just 1? I don't even remember, man. I don't know. I didn't enjoy the show that much. I thought it was alright, but I haven't read further, so I don't know what actually happens. All I know from spoilers is that he ends up with Hina. And considering that she was at one point his teacher, I believe, and is also his stepsister, there's some issues, okay? There's also a major power imbalance here that totally never goes wrong in any real-life scenario ever, okay? I don't need to explain that to you if you have half a brain and common sense. This is not a recipe for good things. One of them's got to have a really good lawyer, and let me tell you, it's probably going to be the main character that gets the settlement, okay, while Hina gets jail time. That's it. That's all there is to it. Need I say more? All right, next up, we're going to go with the main characters of Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. I actually don't really know anything about the future of these two's relationship. I think Yuki deserves to win, but that's just my bias speaking. I'll put them here in absolute love just because I don't really know too much about these two and how things go in the future. I've only seen the anime, which means I've only seen 1 season, so I don't really know. And I know based on how it's demonstrated in the show, he's probably not going to end up with Yuki, which is unfortunate. Don't write me an angry message. Yeah, that's all there is to it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Kaguya and Miyuki here from Kaguya-sama Love is War. Easy soulmate tier, easy top tier. I don't even know how to... Nobody else could put up with their crap but these two. There's nothing else I need to say. top tier. Okay, anyways, next up we have Dangers in My Heart. I'll put this top tier. I was thinking about maybe putting it in absolute love tier, but like I don't really think of any problems when I think of these two. I think Ichikawa and Yamada are just, I mean, they're fine. I don't think of anything wrong happening with them. Nothing really destabilizes the relationship. They progress just fine. I think the only concerning element of the relationship isn't with the relationship itself, but rather the time span that it goes on. What I mean by that is the show starts and they're in middle school. I know middle school in Japan is a bit later, I think, than in the United States. So they are older than they would be, you know, where I'm used to. But it's still a long ways to go, and you never know what happens in that time. And in the vague context of the show, it's not great. However, there is heavy implication that they get married eventually, so I don't think that's actually a problem. Once again, I haven't read the manga. The opening or outro, I don't remember which one, to the show does show them both in wedding clothes, so yeah, I'll be hopeful. Okay, next up is Taiga and Ryuji from Toradora. Okay, guys, look, remember how I said that this wasn't based on what I hope happens, and this is based more on what I think is more realistic? I'm sorry, but, like, it's just not, I can't see good things happening, okay? Now, okay, look, it's not toxic quite like how you'd think it would be, but it's also not going to be good at all. I don't see good here, look, fine. Because of my own bias, I'll put it in Green Goblin, okay? Mostly because I can't stand the idea of these two ever not being together. I'll put them in Green Goblin. These two are very volatile, all right? They do erratic things. I know Taiga spent like a year trying to figure out her own life before seeing Ryuji again, which is great, but that doesn't guarantee success. And these two are very just random. And Taiga is, well, let's face it, she's physically abusive, okay? She's very, very physically combative, even to Ryuji, even later on. Now, she stops hurting him as much later on, but she still does. And that's not great, you know? The last thing you want to see is your parents punching each other or something, right? Or just one of them punching the other. And Taiga's strong. This isn't like, it's like a 5-year-old trying to punch their dad or something, you know? This is a little tiger jumping up and clawing your eyes out. And that's not great. But because of my own, bias here, I'm going to put them in Green Goblin just to be hopeful. However, one big stone in the water and everything could go straight to hell. So, all right. Anyways, we're moving on to Chihaya Furu. I'm going to put this in Toxic. Look, so the show doesn't actually have anyone get with anyone else. Even after 3 seasons, don't worry, I was just as disappointed as you may be. Apparently the manga, though, Taichi and Chihaya do end up together. But, okay, let's think about it for a second. What is it that Chihaya cares about? There is one answer. Karada. There's nothing else. I want that to be very clear. She likes her friends, she cares about her friends, but she's like an obsessed scientist. She will focus on her one dream and her one goal, and nothing else will get in the way. You know what that means for a relationship? The other person gets absolutely nothing out of it. They're alone, they're neglected, and nothing is going to go well. I foresee possible cheating in the future. I foresee complete neglect and feelings of resentment that build up over time, and eventually one of them will dislike the game of Karada because the other, being their partner, will ignore them. Okay? Now you could say in the context of the show or the manga that, they both love Karada and they're both super into it. Yeah, but that's a single bonding point, you know? And there's one bonding point. How strong can it really be? Think of it this way. If you come to a point where you can't play the game, or maybe you don't want to play or whatever, what do you do then? What do you bond about? What do you talk about? What do you do? Okay? There's nothing that it branches off of. There's nothing to span out and do great things with. Okay, think about if, let's say Chihaya does want kids, because I mean, I think there's implication of it that's been shown, just how she reacts to the one lady who does have children. I don't remember. Take this with a grain of salt. Let's say if she does want children in the future. Okay, how's that situation going to go? Who's going to take care of them? What are they going to do? Are they going to go play Karada more or less? Like, what's going on? It's erratic. It's random. It's unstable. And that's my point here. And so, yeah, I don't see great things in their future. I can't even see really anything coming out of it. I mean, hell, the show doesn't even have them end up with each other after 3 seasons. That's not a good sign at all. And so, yeah, I can't imagine it going anywhere in a positive direction. Now, let's look at To Love Ru. I'll put them in soulmate for a few reasons. I know that it's a harem and that he ends up with a lot of people, and he's kind of like... I don't know how to explain To Love Ru to somebody who hasn't seen it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. There's nothing else really to explain. Just go watch it or don't go watch it, but you can either take my word for it or look it up. I'm not explaining To Love Ru to somebody, especially not a general audience. Okay, next up we have Ore Monogatari. Easiest soulmate tier of my life. Here, let me bump this up a little bit. I'm actually gonna bump it up past Kaguya and Miyuki, not because the others are bad, just because Takeo and Miss Yamada are they're the peak of romance, and they're what every human being could ever dream of in terms of partnership. Okay, these two are such perfection for each other. It is magical. Okay, I cannot picture not one thing being a major obstacle for these two in the future. Takeo will break right through it. I mean, yeah, there's some rocks that are thrown in the water that cause a few little issues, but they're not issues with each other. They're just uncertain feelings they have that are quickly resolved, right? And so I don't see anything bad ever going for these guys. They're fine, all right? They are the best pair for each other of all time. And moving on, let's see. We have My Happy Marriage. I'm going to put this in absolute love. I'll explain why. So, Mio and Lord Kudo, these two are fantastic together. They love each other absolutely. And also the name of the show pretty much speaks for itself. The only reason that I'm putting them in this tier is because this is about stability. And stability... well, things are not exactly stable if one of them ends up dead, okay? If one of them is KIA, it don't matter how stable your relationship is, because if one half of the pendulum is trimmed, then it's gone. You don't have a pendulum anymore, okay? I'm saying pendulum. I think I'm thinking of something else, but whatever. That pretty much speaks for itself. And considering that they're both almost constantly put in danger, then I don't trust that these two won't eventually find themselves on the negative half of something. So that's the only reason I'm putting them there. I will put them here. I'll put them at the top because I do think that they're soulmates. I just don't think one of them will go out unscathed. Perhaps. All right, we're moving on to Sawako and Shota from Me to You, the show From Me to You. Look, guys. I'm sorry, but I said this exact same thing in the review for Kimi ni Todeki, but these two are not stable at all. They're not. There's nothing about their relationship that's stable, okay? Maybe I shouldn't put them here. I don't know. Look, I'll leave it up to you guys in the comments for what you think. Alright, does it belong in Green Goblin, or does it belong at the bottom here? Because, frankly, okay, these two love each other. They're great. They're great together. But there's so many problems. I can't even imagine the number of issues that will pop up almost immediately upon the show's ending, okay, and upon the manga's ending. The tiniest things, and I mean the tiniest things, can send these two into hell, into the shadow realm, okay, they immediately go to the Phantom Zone the moment any problem appears at all. It is exponential how bad their problems get in just a day or two, alright? If there's something that goes unsaid, and trust me, there will be, then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. I have never seen such unstable issues in an anime before, alright? So I want you guys to decide, does it belong in Green Goblin or the bottom tier? I'm putting it in bottom tier, okay? But I think there's an argument to be had with Green Goblin, since the idea of that tier is that things are either totally fine or you flip a coin and it's terrible. But I'll put this in bottom tier just because, you know, yeah. Okay, next up we have Kuwari, I think I'm saying her name right, and Kusei from Your Lie in April. Okay, this is a hypothetical one, just so you guys know. So, realistically, these two belong probably like right up here in absolute love, but I'm gonna put them down here for one solid reason. One of them's dead. Look, guys, you can't be in a relationship with a corpse. If you are, you should probably be in prison, okay? It's not happening. Now, is it unfair to put a party of two where one of them is dead on a tier list like this? Well, yeah, kinda. But the whole show is supposed to be these two kinda together, right? The whole idea is these two are in not quite a relationship, but Kuwari majorly improves Kusei's life, brings him back into the world of music, and ends up dying and changes his life, basically. But, I mean, they kind of have a thing going, or at least mentally Kusei does. It's hard to explain, really, okay? Mostly the reason I included these two on the list is because the next ones... Is it bad that I forgot his friend's name? I'm sorry, I just did, okay? So it's implied at the end of the show that he gets together with his best friend, okay? Kusei does, because obviously Kuwari dies from her condition, so she's KIA. So his option is left with his best friend. And I want to make a discussion here. Maybe you guys can talk about this in the comments or talk about it elsewhere or whatever you want. But I want this to be a topic of discussion right here. Think about it this way. If you think that somebody is your soulmate and that person dies, can the next person that you love, is that your soulmate, quote unquote? Is that just, do you love them but it's not perfect? Was the first time not perfect? What's that like? You know what I'm saying? Because him and Kuwari, the whole build-up, the whole idea of it is that they're the perfect match. But she's dead, right? So then where's that leave these two? Because when you think about it, it's like settling, okay? Like, oh, the person I really wanted just died, so I guess I'll go with her, right, who's readily available. And then the reason they could like each other is because of the mere exposure effect. So what the hell? What determines whether that's good pairing or not? Is the whole idea of soulmates philosophical and pointless? Yeah, maybe, okay? But it's like, what is this rooted in? Okay, is it just chemicals operating? You know, what determines how this goes? Are they more compatible for each other? Are they not, right? That's a thing that isn't really explored all that much. And it's never answered either of that being where things go. So you just don't know. So for that reason, I'll put them in the anxiety tier just because you're kind of sweating thinking about it, but there's no answer, and they're not exactly unstable, so I can't put them lower. Anyways, next up, we've got Yukimura, and I'm drawing a blank on her name. It starts with an H. Hiro... I can't think of her name. Jesus, I'm sorry. I just finished this show, too. Okay? We have Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. I literally just finished this 2 days ago, and I can't even think of one of the main characters' names. I'm a fool. Anyways, I think these two belong up in absolute love. Yeah. Here's why. These two are the only two that could ever tolerate each other for any reason. They're both quote-unquote science types, as the show puts it, which really just means they're autistic and can't conform to any sort of general culture, okay? They're very hyper-analytical, and everything has to be a particular way and in a particular organized manner, okay? They're the only two that could ever match each other. So they're perfect in that regard. However, there are quite a lot of problems, especially if you finish the show off with Season 2. There are a lot of obstacles for these two that cause some issues, and they sometimes get a little upset with each other, and things don't go too well. So, I don't know. It's a bit rocky, but I also don't want to put it in the anxiety tier, because I have no doubt that long-term, these two will be perfectly fine together. So, I'll leave it at that. But tell me what you think in the comments if you've seen the show. Anyways, we're on to the last option, Rascal Does Not Dream. Easiest soulmate tier of my life besides the obvious other ones that are on this list. I don't need to explain this if you've seen Rascal Does Not Dream. These two can suffer any event, any supernatural hoodoo, any magical crap that pops up out of nowhere. These two can beat it, okay? And Sakata is never going to stop being attracted to Mai for any reason. It's all fine, okay? Worst case scenario, it's a harem, which it's not. But, you know, or at least not yet, not from what I've seen. I've seen a lot of Rascal Does Not Dream, so hopefully that doesn't change. There you go. That's all we got for today, fellas. Take a nice long look. This is what we're looking at. I gotta say, this is probably, ironically, based on the topic of today's video, probably the most balanced tier list I've ever had on this channel. Not kidding you. We have quite a lot at the top here. Dang, we have 7 at the top. Then we've got 4 in Absolute Love. Then we got 3 in Anxiety, 3 in Green Goblin, 1 in Toxic, and 3 at the bottom here. Now, these two, once again, you could put Sawako and Shota in Green Goblin, make that 4 and make the bottom 2, but I'll let you guys decide on that. I also, one last thing, just in case anybody skipped ahead in the video for some stupid reason and ended up here, these two are only at the very bottom because one of them is dead and you can't marry a corpse, okay? So there you go. That will be all for this time. If you guys enjoyed this tier list, I want to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think. Go watch all these shows. They are fantastic. Read the manga, maybe, unless you're lazy like me. And with that, that'll be all. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, a comment, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic life. Goodbye, everyone. They think that using the zombies as a weapon is a good idea. I just missed every single shot hitting an enemy that was 1 inch in front of me. Why is the FNAF 2 hallway theme playing? Wait. Oh, God! Jesus! Oh! You can't reload, you know, fast enough, huh? Oh, yeah, she's done. We got emplacements. Oh, she beat Acerola to death! I'm gonna be getting paid a lot for this one. Okay. Well, looks like they've arrived a little earlier than expected. Get this thing started. Let's get out of here.